In the shadowy alleys of Medellin, where hope was a currency scarcer than gold, a young boy named Mateo learned his first lesson: survival. His world was a canvas painted in shades of gray, the vibrant colors of Colombia muted by the constant hum of danger and despair. Every day was a gamble, a tightrope walk over a chasm of poverty and violence. His father, a man hardened by the streets, taught him not with words but with a silent, steely gaze that said, "The world owes you nothing." Mateo's home was a cramped room that smelled of damp concrete and unfulfilled dreams, a place where the laughter was hollow and the nights were long. He watched his friends one by one get swallowed by the very streets that raised them, their bright futures extinguished like candles in a storm. But inside Mateo, a different kind of fire burned. It wasn't the destructive fire of the cartels. It was a quiet, stubborn flame of ambition. He'd look at the tattered American magazines smuggled into his neighborhood, seeing images of glittering cities and lives so impossibly bright, they seemed like fiction. That wasn't just a dream, it was a promise he made to himself. He vowed he wouldn't just survive, he would conquer. Saving every peso he could scrounge, Mateo worked jobs that would break most men. He hauled crates at the market before dawn, his small frame straining under the weight. He cleaned floors in buildings where he wasn't even allowed to use the front door. Each coin was a step closer to his escape. The day he finally had enough for a one-way ticket to America, he didn't look back. He carried nothing but a worn-out backpack and a heart pounding with a terrifying mix of fear and exhilaration. He was leaving behind everything he knew for a world that might chew him up and spit him out. Landing in Miami was like stepping onto another planet. The air itself felt different, thick with opportunity and the scent of the sea. Mateo spoke no English, knew no one, and had less than $100 to his name. His first home was the cold, unforgiving bench in a public park. The glittering skyline that had looked so welcoming from afar now seemed to mock him, a fortress he couldn't penetrate. For weeks he lived on the fringes, invisible to the bustling city. He ate what he could find, slept when he could, and fought off a despair so deep it threatened to drown him. Every night, as the city lights flickered to life, he'd stare at them and remember the promise he made in that gray room in Medellin. This was just another fight, and he had been fighting his whole life. His first break came in the form of a dish pit in a sweltering restaurant kitchen. The work was brutal, the pay was minimal, and the verbal abuse from the chefs was constant. But to Mateo, it was a lifeline. He wasn't just washing dishes. He was learning. He listened intently to the cadence of English, mimicking words and phrases in his head. He watched the cooks, the managers, the way they moved, the way they ran the business. He saved every single dollar, living on leftover scraps from the kitchen. He bought a cheap English dictionary and studied it under the dim light of a street lamp after his 14-hour shifts. Slowly, the wall of language began to crumble. Hello became, how are you? Yes became, yes chef right away. He was no longer just a silent dishwasher. He was Mateo, the guy who never stopped working, never stopped smiling, and never complained. Years bled into one another. Mateo climbed the ladder, not by leaps and bounds, but by gritty, painful inches. From dishwasher to prep cook, from prep cook to line cook. He moved from Miami to New York, chasing bigger kitchens and better opportunities. He absorbed everything like a sponge. He learned about supply chains from the delivery guys, about customer service from the waitstaff, and about finance from reading discarded business journals he found on the subway. The city was his university and life was his professor. He saw how the system worked, the flow of money, the dance of supply and demand. And that quiet, stubborn flame inside him roared back to life. He wasn't content just to work in the system. He wanted to build his own. He noticed a gap in the market. The city had thousands of restaurants, but very few that offered authentic, high-quality Latin American ingredients directly to chefs. It was a niche he understood intimately. He took his entire life savings, a modest sum he had bled for over a decade, and made the biggest gamble of his life. He rented a small, dilapidated warehouse in a rough part of Brooklyn and bought a rusty, second-hand van. His new company, Origin Foods, was born. The early days were hell. He was the CEO, the delivery driver, the salesman, and the janitor. He would wake up at 3 a.m. to meet suppliers at the wholesale market, spend the day driving his rattling van all over the city, knocking on the doors of skeptical chefs, and spend his nights doing paperwork on a cardboard box that served as his desk. Most doors were slammed in his face. "Who are you?" "We already have a supplier. Your prices are too high." The rejections were relentless. There were nights he'd sit in his empty warehouse, the weight of his loans pressing down on him, and wonder if he had made a catastrophic mistake. The ghost of that park bench in Miami loomed large, but Mateo was relentless. He knew his product was superior. He wasn't just selling ingredients, he was selling authenticity. He was selling his story. He finally convinced one chef, a rising star in the culinary world, to just try his products, just one taste. That one, yes, was the crack in the dam. The chef was blown away by the quality. Word of mouth, the most powerful marketing tool in the restaurant industry, began to spread like wildfire. "Have you tried the stuff from that Colombian guy? Origin Foods?" Suddenly the chefs who had slammed doors in his face were calling him. His phone started ringing and it never stopped. Origin Foods exploded. Mateo's rusty van became a fleet of state-of-the-art refrigerated trucks. His dilapidated warehouse became a massive, modern distribution center. He hired a team, creating jobs for others who, like him, had come to America with nothing but a dream. He became a titan in the food supply industry, a name whispered with respect in the finest kitchens in the country. The boy from the gray alleys of Medellin was now a multi-millionaire, a businessman whose story was the stuff of legend. One day, he flew back to Colombia, not in desperation, but in a private jet. He walked through the same streets of his childhood. The gray was still there, but now he saw it differently. He saw the resilience, the fire, the untamed spirit of the people. He didn't just come back to visit. He came back to invest. He launched foundations that provided education and opportunities for kids growing up just like he did, offering them a different path, a chance to paint their own canvas with vibrant colors. He stood on a hill overlooking Medellin, the city sprawling below him. He was no longer the scared boy running from the shadows. He was Mateo, the man who had faced the darkness and built an empire of light. He had not just survived, he had conquered. And his story was a testament to the incredible power of a single, stubborn flame of hope that refused to be extinguished. Thank you for watching. If this story inspired you, please like, share, and subscribe for more.